Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And this video is about why the narcissist really tries to get you back or wants you back. It's quite sick how they work, right? But let's go for it. So when the narcissist tries to win you back, reconcile, all that kind of stuff, it's not coming from love. They're incapable of love. There's no love in these relationships. I need you to know that. Just be willing to consider that at least. They're on a power trip, and so in their sickness, they have some kind of God complex where it's like, if you will still want me back after all the pain I've inflicted on you and will be willing to suffer at my hands, they've proven to themselves, I'm not saying me actually because I couldn't do any of this, it's so against our nature, but it thinks, the consciousness that it is, thinks that it's the ultimate power trip. It's not because they love you, it's not because they've learned a lesson, it's not because they've changed or will treat you any better over time. It's because it's the ultimate power trip. The narcissist does not think long term. They are absolutely ruthless and reckless. So even if they've got a lot, you'll notice they exploit people to get it. And in their reality, they seem to think that there's no end of people they can exploit to get what they want, right? They think that there's more supply for everything they want. So they don't really think long term, and they're totally reckless. They will destroy families. They will destroy... They don't care about the long-term implications of what they do to you. They don't care even if it looks like it would shoot themselves in the foot. They're in for this kind of one sort of directional motive, which is destruction. They're ultimately destructive, right? So they're not looking for a win-win, they're not looking for harmony, and they kind of think they're invincible. You know, they don't sit around, people say some things that are not true, they don't sit around feeling worthless and like insecure. They are entirely so egomaniac driven that they believe there'll be other people they can exploit, other sources of supply, other people they can get resources from over and over again, because they're more evil than most people. They're more spiritually and morally corrupt. So we don't see it coming because we've not been taught about it. So we can't imagine someone's motives to be like that, but they don't think long term, which is why when karma does hit them, it can hit them in a really big way, right? Because their sources of supply can actually dry up. And as we raise the consciousness on it, there'll be less room for it, less tolerance for it. We'll have our awareness. You've got to see in this universe who's who, and not everyone is coming from the same influence or desires or, you know, humanitarian focused ways, right? So they just like the power it gives them. It doesn't mean anything, I'm so sorry to tell you, but it means everything about them and nothing about you. What I mean by that is, very sadly, it doesn't mean that they cared so much about you that you're whatever they're calling this A-grade supply. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that they're powerful enough to get anyone back and get them to do what they want again. Yeah, and you probably, if they want you back, were providing something that they did want, right? Money, sex, some kind of attention, social status, reputation, whatever it is. They are so cold and calculated. You know, they will keep you there for something on their agenda, right, that could benefit them later, that they can take from you, and they're the ultimate thieves. So they will try and exploit you and extortion you for whatever it is you do have, even if it's little. They'll still try and take it from you. That's the narcissist. They really do not have boundaries or limits to how low they go, right? And what's really hard for us to imagine is they do have an underlying plan. They are very strategic. So although they will play a long game to get someone, in that they'll be constantly trying to, I don't know, catch victims, they don't have a long-term game in terms of what we would consider, like in the terms of, I guess, how do I say this better? They don't have a fear of long-term consequences in the way that we do, right? They'll play a long game to get what they want because they're lining up so many different sources of supply. Could be friends, could be lovers, could be family members, in all sorts of ways. right? But what they don't have is a fear of consequences in the long term, which is what most people have, right? They don't have that. They're emotionally void. They're not living in fear of anything. They think they're above God. They think they're above you. They think they're superior. And every time you go back to them, they've just proven that to themselves. It's not about you. That's what you have to know with a narcissist. It was never about you. It is never about you. It's all about them, right? And you coming back to them just gives them another hit of thinking, gosh, I've caused this person so much suffering. I've seen it. They will cheat on their partners over and over again, see the pain, see the suffering, go through certain life events together, loss, tragedy, and they'll keep doing the same thing to abuse that partner, right? And the partner will put in their mind, because they don't understand someone with no empathy, which most of us don't, well, this person really, we are meant to be together, or they love you. No, they don't. The narcissist doesn't love anyone but themselves, or don't even love themselves. But love isn't even in the equation. It's not what they operate from. You've got to understand they're a different type of being. So it's nothing to do with that. It's that every time you go back, every time they put you through hell, every time they think they're so powerful, because they must be, right? They must be. Because if people are willing to suffer so much for them, right, and still want to be with them, even though the reason you want to be with them is a lot to do with the trauma bonding, see my last video, that's why they get their high, and their confirmation, their validation is, yeah, I am, and I'm proving it, you know what I mean, to everyone, how superior and powerful I am. There's no, that's where they come from. So that's why they try and win you back. Please don't romanticize it, idealize it. Please stick with the truth and the facts of what you've experienced, what you know already, and don't project that just because maybe there's been a time period apart that this person has had such a big transformation, because I promise you that the narcissist doesn't do that. They could have, I've talked about this, they could have a spiritual awakening, but it would take a very long time, and they'd be a very different person after it, right? So probably nothing like the person you know. Because they're not even just a false self, they're a non-self who adapts to whoever they're with and paints illusions that they don't really exist on the level of humanity in the way that we think they do, right? You've got to understand the spiritual essence of it. But that's why they try and get you back. And they'll put you through more suffering. And this is what's so confusing to victims, right? They know what they've done, they know what they're doing, they see your pain, they know how to behave in other contexts around other people. When they want to turn it on, they turn it on. They know what good behaviour is, they know what bad behaviour is. But they know by controlling you, by trauma bonding you on pleasure and pain, messing up your system and the way that you're going to romanticize it, yeah, you're living in a shared fantasy, not a shared reality. Their story is not your story, and the one between you is a lie, right? So the reason they try and win you back is because they know that they believe they're powerful enough too. And that's where they've got no shame. Notice with narcissists, right? How embarrassed would you be if it was your ex, right? And you've broken up, and then you contact them and say, gosh, I can't stop thinking about you. I wondered if we could get back together, and you get rejected. How many humans could really take that rejection a lot and still want to pursue them and not be very conscious about that? A narcissist doesn't care if you reject them. They still believe they're more powerful than you, and that they'll get you at a low moment when you're vulnerable. They'll wait for something difficult to happen in your life, and they'll want to swoop in there at your most vulnerable. They'll exploit you, they'll extortion you, and they'll steal from you. This is how they operate. I hope that helps, my loves. If you want to join Sovereign, get in by July 17th. Lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon.